Direct proportion. In direct proportion, as one value increases, the other value increases at the same rate. In simple terms, if one thing goes up, the other goes up too, and if one thing goes down, the other goes down too. So let's explain this and then we'll go ahead and solve question. For instance, assuming 2 pen costs 400 naira, what is the cost of 1 pen? The cost of 1 pen is 200. But before we go to this 200, I want you to take note of how you got 200. We got 200 by simply dividing by 2. So let's say 2 pen, as we said initially, is equal to 400. We divided both sides by 2 because 2 divided 2 will just give us 1, right? So we have 1 pen is equal to 2 here is 1 and 2 here is what? 200. So it's equal to 200 naira. So in as much as you are able to figure it out yourself, there is still need for you to understand that we got this by simply dividing by 2. Okay, let's say if 3 cups of rice, so 3 cups of rice is equal to 300 naira. How much is 5 cups? So it's equal to 300 naira. How much is 5 cups? Now, for us to find 5 cups, we need to also know the cost for 1 cup first. So what do we do? To find the cost of 1 cup, we simply divide by what? 3. We divide by 3. So 3 cups divided by 3 is equal to 300 divided by 3. 3 here is just 1. So we'll have 1 cup is equal to 3 here is 1, 3 here is 1. So is equal to 100 naira. So it's simple. The hack here is for direct variation, we divide and then we multiply later in the process. So let's solve for 5 cups. So 5 multiplied by 1 cup. So we are going to still multiply both sides by 5. Then here we'll have 5 cups is equal to 500 naira. Now this might be confusing to you at first, but then just calm down. We're going to do this together and then you definitely get it. So let's go ahead. So the math hack here is that in direct proportion, we divide first, then multiply for the rest of the process. So let me say that again. For direct proportion, we'll have to what? Divide first, and then we'll multiply for the rest of the process. This is because if you think about direct variation, where you have um, x is directly proportional to y, for you to find the constant, or when you introduce constant, you will have x is equal to ky, and then to find the constant making k subject of the formula, you now have that x over y is equal to k. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but then if this is not clear to you, don't stress yourself with it, don't struggle with it. But the hack here is that we first of all, what do? We have to divide first and then we'll multiply later. So this is just how I want to think about this mechanically. Divide first, multiply later once it's a direct proportion. And then in direct proportion, you need to be able to read the question and understand. Think about it logically. Let it make sense to you. Once you can understand it and it's making sense to you, definitely you can solve it. So let's go ahead and solve some questions. A cleaner is paid $45 in 3 weeks. $45 in 3 weeks. How much is he paid in 11 weeks? This is direct proportion. And one of the steps is that we need to what? Divide first, then multiply later. So $45 in 3 weeks. So his pay is what? 45 in 3 weeks. So we need to be able to figure out his pay in 1 week first before we talk about his pay in 11 weeks. Okay, so you can also write this thing this way. So let's put it this way. 3 weeks is equal to 45. I think it's more clear this way, but whatever way is correct. So let's divide both sides by 3 to figure out the cost 1 week. So divide both sides by 3. So we'll have 3 weeks divided by 3 is equal to 45 divided by 3. So the 3's can cancel out to give us 1 here. So this is 1 week. 1 week is equal to what? 3 here is 1 and 3 into 45 gives us 15 is equal to 15. So it means in 1 week this cleaner makes $15. And they're asking us how much does he make in 11 weeks? So this is our interest. In 11 weeks, how much does it make? So what we'll simply do, the process says we have to divide first, then multiply, right? Okay, so let's continue from this very point. In 11 weeks, what do we have to do? We have to multiply both sides by 11. So multiply both sides by 11. So 11 multiplied by 1 week is equal to 11 multiplied by $15. So this becomes 11 weeks is equal to, so 11 multiplied by 15 is what? $165. Please don't forget to add that. And that is it. So let's go ahead and solve the next question. Okay, Mrs. Judith receives 9,000 naira for 10 days as her pay. Find her pay in 3 days, 16 days, X days. So before we go ahead to solve for A, B, and C, let's figure out her pay in 1 day first. So let's say in 10 days, she's paid 9,000 naira. So for us to be able to figure out her pay in 1 day, remember the rule. The rule says we have to divide first. But then what are we going to divide? We're going to divide with the coefficient of the variable we are solving for. So the coefficient here is 10. Before the coefficient was what? Let's check the previous question. The coefficient was 3. That was how we divided by 3. For the instances I gave you here, the coefficient was 2, so we divided by 2. And then here the coefficient is also 3, so we divided by 3. So the simple thing here is that you have to divide by that very coefficient to figure out 1, because whenever a number divides itself, it's just 1. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. This is why we are using the coefficient to divide. I don't know if this whole coefficient something is clear to you, but if it's not clear to you, just know that you have to divide with the value you have here, or do whatever you can that such that when you divide, you get 1. You understand? So if we divide both sides now by 10, you see that it tends to cancel out, so we'll have 1. So 1 day is equal to, the zeros can cancel out to give us 900. So in 1 day, Mrs. Juliet receives or will receive 900 naira. Okay, so in 1 day, A says we should solve for what? Solve for 3 days. So let's do that here. A, so 3 days, 3 days, that becomes 3 multiplied by 1 day is equal to 3 multiplied by 900. So that gives us 3 days is equal to 3 multiplied by 900. That is 9 times 3 times 9 is 27. So gives us 2,700. So add naira. So 2,700 naira. Don't know if that makes sense to you. Okay, the next says for 16 days B. So for 16 days, we just have to multiply by 16. So 16 multiplied by 1 day is equal to 16 multiplied by 900, right? Because that's for 1 day. So this gives us 16 days is equal to, so I think I need a calculator. 16 multiplied by 900 is 14,400. So I have 14,400 and then naira. Okay. Finally, we have C. So let's do C here. They said X days. So just simply say X multiplied by 1 day is equal to X multiplied by 900. So X days is equal to 900x. This one might just be complex or a little bit out of scope, but the simple hack here is that we are dividing first and then multiplying later for the rest of the process. So when we divide, we just want to find how much it will cost for 1 or per 1. So whenever we figure out that of 1, we can multiply to get the rest of the process, and that's just it. For question 3, a car uses 10 liters of petrol for 180 kilometers. How far will it go with 14 liters? So this same process, 10 liters. I just want to say 10L for 180 kilometer. Okay, so before we solve for how far it will go for 14 liters, let's solve for 1 liter first. So solving for 1 liter simply means we have to do what? Divide both sides by 10. So we have 10L divided by 10. L stands for liter here. Then 180 km, kilometer, divided by 10 as well. So 10 cancels 10. So it means that 1L is equal to, remember, when we just have L, it's same thing as 1L in algebra. So there's only like 1L. What I mean is that if I have 2A, this is 2A. There's nothing like 1A. It's just simply A. A is just simply 1A. So this is 1L. So it simply means that 1L is equal to, this 0 cancel out. So 18 over 1 same thing as 18, because 1 divided by any number is that number. So that's 18 kilometer. So 1 liter can carry us for 18 kilometers. So how far will it go with 14 liters? So for 14L, we have to do what? Multiply. So we can now say 14 multiplied by L is equal to 14 multiplied by 18. So we just use 14 to multiply both sides. Okay, so this becomes 14L is equal to, so let's get our on-screen calculator. 14 multiplied by 18, 14 multiplied by 18 is equal to 252. So I have 252 kilometer. And that is just it. Okay, so we are done with direct proportion, and then we're having lesson coming up on unit conversion and also inverse proportion. Unit conversion first because it relates to both direct and inverse proportion. So do well to check out for the previous lessons and do well to join us on that series. And if there is also a topic you want us to talk about or explain, you can drop that in the comment section. So thank you so much for joining us today. You can also join our maths community on WhatsApp where we'll solve questions and give more tasks. Thank you and God bless.